I have to say, I didn't have Majespecter support on my 2023 bingo card. Alas, I've been proven incorrect because it is in fact here. We do have new support for the Majespecter cards. We have 4 new cards to talk about today. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the new cards. I'm going to go over this deck list that I've come up with, and then I'm going to show you 4 combos you can do with Majespecters when the support comes out. So I'm going to start with the monster, and this is Majespecter Porcupine, and it's a pretty good card, to be fair. It's a level 4 wind, non-tuner spellcaster, 1500 attack and 1500 defense, and it's a pendulum scale 2. During the main phase, if you control a Majespecter monster, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can target 1 Majespecter spell in your graveyard, set it. It cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. Your opponent cannot target it with card effects, which is the deal with most Majespecter monsters. So this is pretty cool. It's just a free special summon from hand, an extender, which is something that Majespecter didn't actually have before this. None of these cards actually special summon themselves. They were all very normal summon or pendulum summon reliant. Porcupine allows us to get 2 bodies on board. The spell that is new is Majespecter Wind. This is a quick play spell. When you activate this card, you could also tribute 1 Wind spellcaster monster, special summon 1 Majespecter monster from your hand or graveyard, or if you tributed a monster activation, you can special summon it from the deck instead. So this is really cool. It's either Reborn or a special summon from hand, which allows you to extend if you don't have the Porcupine, but it's also just a special summon from deck if you tribute a monster, which is really cool. It allows you to get to your Bambukus really easily, or your Yatas if you want the spells, or your guys who search the traps, which is really cool. This is probably a 2 of, since it's super searchable because we have Yata. You could possibly play 3 of it. The last 2 cards are in the extra deck, and we'll go over the XE first because the link is crazy, but we'll go for the XE first. This is Majespecter Draco. It is a rank 4 wind spellcaster with 2300 attack and 200 defense. It's also a pendulum, as well as being an XZ with a pendulum scale of 5. We'll go over the monster effect first, since this is the one you'll be using the most. Requires 2 level 4 monsters. If you can pendulum summon level 4, you can pendulum summon this face-up card from your extra deck. If a monster you control is tributed while this monster is on the field, you can detach 1 material from this card, special summon 1 level 6 or lower wind spellcaster monster from your deck. You can only use this effect of Draco up to twice per turn. If this card in the monster zone is destroyed by battle or card effect, or tributed, you can place it in your pendulum zone. So that's a really strong effect. I'm sure most of you have already seen the synergy with Wind here, because Wind can tribute your guy to special summon a guy, and then if you have the XZ on board, you get to summon another guy from the deck as well, which means you're just getting so much advantage, and that tribute actually turned into a plus rather than a neg, which is quite cool. The pendulum effect is also pretty good. If you have a Majespecter card or a Draco Slayer card in your other pendulum zone, you can add 1 Majespecter card from your deck to your hand, then you can destroy 1 card in your pendulum zone, and you can only use this effect once per turn. So in the instance where this gets destroyed in your opponent's turn, or if you tribute it to activate one of your traps, spells, or if you tribute it to activate Wind itself, you just get to get a search if you have another guy in the pendulum zone, which is really cool. And adds a card as well, so this can add your powerful spells and traps, or it can add monsters for extension, which is really cool. Yeah, this is a really, really good card, and yeah, amazing. Perfect support. The link, however, is absolutely ridiculous. This is Majespecter Ophrys New. It requires 2 pendulum monsters, including a Majespecter monster. If this card is link summoned, you can activate this effect. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except Majespecter and Draco Slayer monsters. Also, add up to 2 face-up Majespecter Pendulum monsters from your extra deck to your hand, and you can add up to 2 Majespecter Pendulum monsters with different names for each other from your deck to your extra deck base up. Oh, this card's crazy. Like, you're getting 2 back from extra deck and you're just filling it with another 2 from your deck. It accesses you the entire buddy archetype just off 2 monsters. Absolutely crazy, and is going to be used in every single combo I show you going forward. Those are all the new cards. We're going to talk over the deck now. So we're playing 3 Bambuku and 3 Yata. Both of these cards are combo on their own as long as you have a discard in your hand. We have 3 of the Porcupine, the card we just talked about, the 3 special summons. So this adds monsters, this adds spells, this is a free drop. We have 2 copies of Fox. This one adds the traps. Ogama can set spells or traps on normal summon or special summon, which is quite cool. We're playing 1 Nikomata. It's just an extra name, and it's a search in the end phase. And because we have the XZ, there's a very good chance you'll be tributing your cards off for the traps and spells, which will then trigger your XZ to special summon the cat, and then the cat can get a search in the end phase, which is It's pretty good. It means you don't have to search for what you think you'll need for follow-up. You can just wait to the end phase, see what your opponent's done to your board, and then just search the correct card. We're playing 2 Majesty Pegasus. This card is always treated as a Majespecter card, and it's a Draco Slayer, and it's cool. If you don't know what this card does, well, it has multiple effects. The main effect we're concerned with is if this card is special summoned by the effect of a Draco Slayer card or pendulum summoned, you can add 1 field spell from your deck to your hand and discard 1 card. It also has an effect where you can discard it to protect Draco Slayer cards. It also has an effect in the pendulum scale, where if you have a Draco Slayer or a Majespecter card in the other pendulum zone, you can add 1 Draco Slayer pendulum monster with a different original name than that card from your deck to your hand. Then you can destroy 1 card in your pendulum zone. So this allows us to search for Dynamite Powerload the Draco Slayer. So we're playing this one because he has the pendulum effect where you can target a Draco Slayer or Dynamis card in your other pendulum zone and special summon it. So essentially you can Majesty Pegasus, pop like a Bambuku, which is in scale, to add this guy, scale this guy, pendulum summon a bunch of guys out, and then you can power load, special summon the Majesty Pegasus, which allows you to have another body on the board, which is quite cool. Free Ash, free Droll. Droll's actually a wind spellcaster, so technically you could summon it off of the XZ, which is quite cool. If you could find a way to bounce a card you control to the hand, you could technically search Droll on Lockbirds, like how the OCG used to search Max Z with Sprites. I haven't quite found a consistent way of doing that. Like, Acacia Magician came to mind, but the Link monster locks you into only summoning Draco Slayers and Majespecters from the extra deck. Maybe you could do it pre-link, I don't know, but it's quite cool that you could possibly do that. It's also a wind spellcaster, which means you could also tribute it for all of the spells and traps if that happens to come out. If you look really brick, you can go like, normal summon Droll, set Tempest, go, sort of thing. And obviously you can also tribute it for wind, which allows you to get your whole turn going. So Droll Lockbird plus wind is probably the full line. Probably. Like, you normal summon Droll, tribute it for wind, special Bambuku. Bambuku adds this, special summon this, make the link 2. Yeah, that seems like the full line. We're playing 1 Majesty's Pegasus. This is the Majespecter field spell. It's not a Majespecter by name, sadly. However, it's a field spell, so you can search off the Draco Slayer. This allows you to tribute a wind spellcaster to special summon a level 4 or lower Majespecter from the deck. Hey, it tributes, this triggers the XZ, and also it gets you Bambuku, so it's pretty good. We're playing 1 because it's super searchable. Well, I say super searchable. It's searchable off Majesty Pegasus. You could possibly play more than 1 of this, but I don't really think it's needed. Free Pot of Prosperity, just for consistency's sake, and honestly we don't care about a lot of our extra deck because we're locked so early into Majespecters. And shockingly enough, there's not that many Majespecter cards in the extra deck. 1 Secret Village of the Spellcasters. This is a really fair card, isn't it? Your entire deck is Spellcasters, and guess what? Majesty Pegasus can search field spells, so we can search Secret Village of the Spellcasters. Also, our guys can't be targeted or destroyed, which means they're very difficult to get off board, so your opponent better have a Spellcaster if they want to use any spells. 1 Call by the Grave. It's Call by the Grave. 2 Majespecter Tempest and 1 Majespecter Tornado. I'm not entirely sold on this lineup of traps. You could play more or different traps because there are a few other ones. But 3 seems like a pretty decent number, especially because our Porcupine can set them from the graveyards. Oh no, we only get spells. Maybe you can't. Maybe you do need to play more spells, more traps, sorry. I assumed there was a way of setting them back. Or nope. There's no way of setting them back, so maybe you need to play more, but 3 is probably a good number. You're usually searching 2, which leaves 1 left in the deck. And then this engine. I'm playing Revolution Synchron and Tunings. You might think that's weird, like you want to keep your monsters on board to make the link or to make the XZ. You don't really want to be going into a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Well, these aren't actually here to go into Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. These are actually here to go into Ignis of Prominence. So, Revolution Synchron can obviously be used to synchro summon using monsters you control with him in the hand to make a level 7 or 8 dragon monster. And the Prominence requires a non-tuner pendulum monster to make. Well, it's very lucky that Clear Wing Fast Dragon is a monster we can make in this deck. So Clear Wing Fast Dragon requires a tuner and a non-tuner wind monster, and he's in fact a dragon, which means we can turn any of our level 4 wind monsters, which is quite a few of the monsters in this deck, with a Revolution Synchron, into Clearing Fast Dragon. We can then summon back Revolution Synchron, since we control a level 7 or higher Synchro monster, and we can make Ignis of Prominence, which is strong, because Ignis of Prominence has the effect to special summon a Draco Slayer monster from your deck. So we can just special summon Majesty Pegasus, And Majesty Pegasus is incredible because it allows you to grab a field spell. So this grabs Majesty Pegasus. Majesty Pegasus, hey, I contribute this and we summon Bambuku, which means that any level 4 wind we have in our deck, so this is Yata or Porcupine or Ojagama or Fox, all Majesty's Pegasus in combination with Revolution Synchron is pretty much the full line because you're accessing the entirety of your deck. It doesn't get to Secret Village, but it gets to everything else. So is this worth playing in this deck? Maybe, possibly not. I mean, it gets you to everything. I don't know. You'll have to make that decision for yourselves. We spoke about a lot of the extra deck, but we'll quickly go through it all. We're playing 2 of the Link, 2 of the XZ, 1 Beyond the Pendulum. Probably not going into this all too often because it's a little bit, it's kind of just worse than new, except this doesn't lock you from the extra deck. This is probably like a turn 3 play where you're trying to go for lethal maybe. We're playing 1 Fortune Tune, 1 Down Magician, and 1 Zeus. We're playing 1 Master Paladin, the Ascending Draco Slayer. This also special summons a Draco Slayer, this time from the extra deck. And it also adds a Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand during the end phase. It's pretty good. You can play it. The Ignis with Prominence and the Clearwing, which we talked about earlier. Still playing a Black Rose Dragon and a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. You can still use the Crystal Wing Dragon if you have full line. You just happen to have Revolution Synchron just to add an extra negate on there to protect you from hand traps. And Black Rose Dragon is pretty good with Revolution Synchron. Being able to go, ooh, normal summon Yata, add the spell, Revolution Synchron, Black Rose your whole board, and then I'm going to play straight away afterwards because I have extension. Pretty good. And then I'm playing 1 Unicorn and 1 Access Code Talker because these cards are pretty cool. We'll quickly talk about these cards I have to the side here. Goes and Match is definitely a card you can play in this deck because everything's a wind. Like the XE and the Links are wind as well. You could also just play Rivalry because everything's a spellcaster in the deck. So many floodgates you can choose from here. And it also means you're going to be able to play through these floodgates if you're playing against any decks that actually play them, which is always a nice thing. With Majespecter support, we kind of have to talk about Kirin. This card's been on the ban list for a very long time. I want to say late 2016, early 2017 is when this card was put on the ban list. And with new support coming out, if Konami wants to sell it, there's a good chance that this card is coming back. And if this card comes back, this deck gets so much better because being able to special summon this off of the XZ monster is going to be a little bit crazy. You can't Pendulum summon it usually in Majespecters because they have 2 to 5 scales. But being able to access this from the deck and not have to tribute summon it is going to make this deck a force to be reckoned with if Kirin does come back, I feel. Secret Village plus Kirin plus Tempest plus L plus Ratio. It could be a really good deck if Kirin comes back. This last card in the side deck is Mystical Fairy Alufia. It's a level 6 or lower wind spellcaster monster, which has a floodgate effect. It says, once per turn, you can reveal 1 wind monster in your hand until the end of your opponent's turn, and either player can XZ summon using monsters with a different level from the revealed monster as XZ's material. So if you're playing up against a deck like Pearly or Kashtira, not that those decks are probably going to be around when this deck comes out, or something to that effect, like Mathmech, you can reveal, I'll reveal a level 3 in hand, and now both of us are locked into only using level 3s as XZ's material. Or we can reveal a level 4, and you're locked into rank 4s. Or you could reveal Droll and Lockbird, and guess what? You're locked into rank 1s. Probably don't want to do that against Pearly, but you get the point. Yes, that was a lot of rambling about the deck list. I've now got 4 combos coming up for you. So we're going to start with Yata plus a discard. So what I'll do this in a way where it doesn't make too much sound. So yeah, we'll do this. So we're going to start with normal summon Yata, search Wind. Wind effect, tribute Yata to special summon Bambuku, and then we're going to add the Porcupine. This is going to allow us to special summon the Porcupine since we control our Majespecter monster, and we can grab this Wind back and set it for our opponent's turn. We're then going to link for the Link 2, and we're going to add from our extra deck the Yata and the Porcupine, and we're going to send a copy of Ogama and a copy of Majesties. If I pause this, yeah, that'll be a lot easier. We're then going to put in our scales, our... I hate dueling books sometimes. Here we go. We're going to put our scales, our 2 monsters, and then we're going to Pendulum summon out Ogama and Majesties. This is going to allow us to discard our card and search for Tempest and Secret Village of the Spellcasters. Didn't mean to send Frost from deck to grave there, but... is what it is. We'll then overlay our 2 monsters to go for Majespecter Draco, and this is the end board. So it might not look like a lot, but it's actually quite deceivingly strong. So Secret Village of Spellcasters is not allowing our opponent to activate any spell cards unless they control a spellcaster monster. So we instantly win some games right there. It's honestly, this is a fantastic floodgate to be able to use in this deck. We also have this Majespecter Tempest and this copy of Majespecter Wind. So at any point in our opponent's turn, we can Wind tribute our Link monster, which is going to allow us to special summon a guy from the deck, and he's going to get a search, and the Draco is going to be able to summon another monster from the deck because a monster was tributed. We also have Tempest, which is a Omni Negate. Well, not Omni Negate, it's a monster negate or a monster summon negate. So you could use this to tribute one of those monsters you summoned, or the Link if you want to do it in the other order, and you're going to get to negate something, and then Draco is going to get to trigger again to summon something else in the deck to give even more advantage, which off 1.5 cards is nothing to scoff at. Like, this is a Pendulum deck. You're going to have another 3 cards in hand. They can just be more monsters that you're throwing onto the board. Again, I don't really know what you do with them since you get locked into Majespecters, but there's certainly something you could do with them, I'm sure. And all the guys you're summoning just can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects, so they're just a nuisance to get rid of, so you're probably not dying. So yeah, it's not a bad board. This is Bambuku plus a discard. It's pretty similar to the last play. So we're going to normal summon Bambuku, and we're going to activate the effect, and we are going to search for a copy of Porcupine. Because we control a Majespecter monster, we can special summon it from the hand, and then we can use it to Link summon, sending the cards to the correct place, a copy of the Link 2. This is going to allow us to add back our 2 monsters we just used for his Link summon, and then we're going to get to send a Majesty and a Fox from deck to extra deck. From there, we could Pendulum summon 2 monsters after we scale our cards slowly, and we get to use the effect of Majesty Pegasus and the effects of Fox to search for a trap and grab our field spell and discard our card. We can then activate Secret Village, and that's the end of the combo this way. You can make the rank 4 here, obviously like we did in the last line, but I want to show you that it's not necessary. You can just keep the Tempest live to tribute. But it probably is better to go for the XZ because it means you get to special summon another guy from the deck, which is cool because he can't be targeted, and it's just extra bodies. But you could technically keep the Link here and keep extra spellcasters on the board to ensure your opponent can't crack it and crack the Secret Village of the spellcasters, if that makes sense. So you can go either way, but this is one option. This is Bambuku plus a discard again, but it's slightly different. So we're going to start by normal summoning Bambuku and using the effect to search for a copy of Porcupine. From here, we're going to special summon this copy of Porcupine, and we're going to link into a copy of the Link 2. Have you seen this one before? So we're going to add the Bambuku and the Porcupine back from our extra deck to our hands, and then we're going to send a copy of Yatta and a copy of Majesties. We're then going to Pendulum Scale our guys, and we're going to Pendulum Summon our Yatta and our Majesty's Pegasus. From here, we can activate both the effects, adding a Wind this time, because I'm summoning the Spell Searcher, and adding a Secret Village, which we can discard off of the Ash Blossom. From here, we are going to overlay for a copy of Majesty's Draco, and we're going to activate Wind, tributing our Link monster to special summon Ogama. This is going to allow us to set a trap from the deck, and also trigger this Majesty Draco to grab another monster from the deck in the Fox. This is, of course, going to allow us to trigger the Fox to grab ourselves another trap, so we can grab Tornado, and then we can activate Secret Village as spellcasters. So this is just kind of just better than the other combo I just showed you, but it requires you to go through more names, which means you can't play through as much interruption going second, if that makes sense. Like, you can't use cards to bait things out and then use them again later because it will harp onto returns. But this is probably just a better line to use with this. You get rid of the Link 2 for basically another trap, and basically get rid of the Link 2 for another trap because you still have 2 monsters on the board. Probably just better, to be honest. I mean, we could always just make another Link 2 on turn 3 and just go off from the races there, to be honest. This next combo is going to be any level 4 Wind, Revolution Synchron, and a discard. So this is going to be the Synchro line I was talking about earlier. So we're going to start by normal summoning Porcupine, using this one because it's the one that does the least. And then we are going to Synchro summon a copy of Clearwing Fast Dragon using the Revolution Synchron. From here, we'll use the Revolution Synchron to special summon itself back and build a card from the top of the deck. And then we're going to Synchro for a copy of Ignis. Ignis is then going to allow us to special summon this Majesty's Pegasus from the deck. This is going to allow us to grab a field spell, so we can grab a Majesty's Pegasus from deck to hand and discard this copy of Ash Blossom. From here, we can activate the Pegasus and tribute our Majesty to special summon a copy of Bombuku. This is going to allow us to add a Porcupine. From here, we can special summon our copy of Porcupine, and we can, of course, go into our Link 2 monster, which is going to allow us to go absolutely crazy. So we can, from here, add back our Majesty's Pegasus and this Bombuku, a 2 and a 5 scale, and we can send a copy of Ogama and a copy of Yatta from the deck to the extra deck. From here, we can Pendulum Scale our cards, but before Pendulum Summoning, we're going to use the Draco Slayer effect to pop our Bombuku and add a copy of the Power Load. From here, we can scale the Power Load, and we can Pendulum Summon 2 guys. So we're going to summon the Yatta, and we're going to summon the Ogama. Chilling 2 Ogama to play around Ash. Ogama set Tempest, and Yatta add Wind. We're going to set the Tempest, and then we're going to go for the XZ. We're going to go for a copy of Draco. From here, we're going to activate Wind, attributing our Link to special summon a copy of Fox from the deck. This is, of course, going to allow us to go Fox Chainlink 1, Draco Chainlink 2, all the other way around if you want to. And this is going to allow us to special summon a guy from the deck. In this case, we're going for another copy of Porcupine, and add Tornado from deck to hand. This is going to allow us to trigger the Porcupine to reset this copy of Wind, so we can use it on our opponent's turn, and set a copy of Tornado. So this end boards is Tempest and Tornado. Probably should have mentioned this earlier. Neither of these traps are once per turn, so you don't have to grab one of each. You can just grab 2 Tempest if you want to, or you can grab 2 Tornado, or you can grab whatever the hell you want. But in this case, we've gone for one of each. So we have a Monster Negate or a Summon Negate. We have a Targeting Banish by tributing a Wind Spellcaster. We have a Special Summon from either the graveyards, or the hands, or the deck if you want to tribute. And when we tribute guys, our Draco is going to get to replace them by special summoning guys from the deck as well. So this is 2 points of proper interaction. We don't have the Secret Village this time, so it's a little bit worse. But we are going to get so much extra advantage for our turn 3, and it's very unlikely our opponent's going to kill us. Like, they're going to have to go for a Zeus line to really remove the Majespecter monsters, because they can't be targeted or destroyed. And if they're going for a Zeus line, they're not killing us. And we still have Interruption. I don't know, this seems really good, and I'm really looking forward for these cards coming out, probably, February, March sort of time. Yeah, if Kieran comes back... Yeah, let's just talk about Kieran for a second. If Kieran comes back, imagine this board. Like, we can go, draw phase Wind, tribute Yamashara, special summon a Bombuku, Draco effect, summon Kieran. And I was like, okay, so we've now got a Monster Negate, a Banish, and a Bounce, and we're getting advantage back. This deck could be crazy. It's probably coming out at a similar time around Centurion, so whether it's going to be like the top deck, probably not, but this could definitely be like a rogue choice to play at high-level tournaments, which is quite cool. We'll quickly click back to the list just so you understand what everything's doing now. Yeah, really excited for this one, and yeah, bring back Kieran, I guess.